I like to stay upfront and honest and admit when I'm wrong. So I had numbers wrong and everything. I had to delete stuff and reword things. So I've been saying for a while that approximately 10 times the human population in cows are on farms and fed different plants and stuff, and that number is way off. The estimate is less than that by a lot. I mean, yeah, the number of animals killed annually is serious, but just cows on farms and everything are nowhere near like 80 billion, 90 billion, whatever. But yeah, still a lot of it's just you hear that a lot. It's like they don't care about actually reducing suffering, but so many people will say, "Oh, plants, we shouldn't kill plants either." Or some people will say that plants feel and everything. And again, you can go into souls or whatever you want if you believe that, but when it comes to the central nervous system providing sentience and the ability to think and perceive the world around you and everything, it's obviously a very different situation. But yeah, again, like a huge portion of corn and soy and different things are fed to animals, and we would use like less than half the land we currently use if we had a plant-based system. And again, cows, cattle ranching, I've said it a million times, but the number one cause of rainforest deforestation, the areas with the greatest biodiversity, that's all sorts of just diverse, varying, so much different, many different plants and animals being lost, awesome creatures, dwindling species and different things included, for this very ridiculous, insane way of eating. It feels like cult stuff. It's like when we require zero animal products to thrive. Again, Ellsworth Wareham, Fiona Oakes, all sorts of people. When you see someone go 50 years vegan and be fine and doing well and able to do all sorts of things, you know it works. And if you learned biology and you do some reading on nutrition and just you'll see that everything we need is in plants. So like, again, just less greenhouse gas emissions if we stopped that. Oh yeah, I wanted to go into that. Cows, this ridiculous system of artificially inseminating, fucking sticking fists in cows' butts and putting the jizz in them and everything, and just breeding like crazy, just churning numbers, birth, only to the steal the calves from the mothers. That's fucked up enough, and then get them pregnant, and while they're making milk, steal their milk, steal their young, and then a lot of animals, they don't live their full lives. They're killed very early and everything, just for food that we don't need. And it turns out we waste a lot of food and everything. Not just the plants that we feed animals that could be fed to starving humans around the world, but just so much shit gets thrown away too. And then just pollution, all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. So, even if you say that plants deserve to live and everything, it's obviously, this is the path of least destruction. Again, you could, if you found different species, because again, only about 5% of the US population hunts deer and rabbit and different things. And it has to remain very close to that because we don't want to end species and everything, drive things to extinction, drive beings to extinction. And like if there were a shit ton of different large animals that could feed you for a very long time, then yeah, if you had the time, and people have to work and get by and stuff too. Not everybody lives with a whole bunch of, you can't just have everyone have acres of land and places to go shoot animals and stuff and then freeze them and keep them for a while. I do acknowledge that, yes. It sounds like it could be the path of least suffering too, but again, like, we need to eat. You're not just going to eat meat. Those people that say that stuff, you eat plants too. So you can't even say that. Like, the carnivore diet thing is like, there are some people that do that, but like, dude. And then when it gets to being all of that, obviously you're going through that a lot quicker and stuff too. So yeah, unless you're prepared to eat all sorts of animals, and it doesn't work when, if you think about that, if you are trying to say that each individual life is precious and we should do the least amount, so kill animals. When you're not doing large animals, when you're doing smaller ones, that's like a meal each time or whatever. Or a lot less if you're killing very small things like insects and stuff. That's, even though, fucking governments and stuff are trying to say that, yeah, it might be better for the planet because there are so many of them. They're not dwindling at all. There are more insects by far than anything. But, I'm just saying in terms of least amount of individual suffering, collective, all the deaths and everything. But yeah, it's just really the way to have a convenient system to where you're still doing your normal grocery store shopping and everything. Plant-based is the answer. Yeah. It's unsustainable, even if you're doing your, like, organic meat and everything, like, beef and everything. People love beef, but that is not the answer. It's a myth, like, trying to talk about regenerative stuff that's like, oh, it's all, our cows, we do the least damage. It's still very bad and much worse than what you could be doing. All sorts of things, just continue remaining curious and trying to learn, and don't just throw stuff around when you, so many people just seem to do that. It's just the same stuff over and over that they've heard elsewhere, so they're going to keep saying it. Different things. And this was on a fishing website. That's the most killed animal by far. There are so many fish, like when you see, and again, with commercial stuff, not the little fishermen and stuff, little fishermen just going fishing here and stuff, but the big businesses, the majority of plastic pollution or just stuff that's not going to degrade over time in the oceans is from fishing gear. And in fishing for your salmon, for your whatever, I don't know, the different types that do the most damage, all sorts of other animals that you might find so much more important than the fish you eat get caught up in that too. A lot of different cool animals die and stuff too that you might value greater or whatever. But anyway, love, I hope you have pleasant times.